You may have noticed that on my channel, I recently re-uploaded the first 14 episodes of JuniorNitro, formerly known as John's Reviews, onto the channel you're on right now. The reason being because I deleted the original channel those reviews were on. One of those videos included in that collection was the one where I looked at both Wrath of Cortex and Crash Nitro Kart.
Why?
Since then, I revisited both games, and while I'm quite proud of the Wrath Van Calendar series from back in December 2019, I can't say the same for the one I made for Crash Nitro Kart. That video was a blatant copy and paste job of Jack's first CNK review, and I fucking hate it now. So I apologize, but I just cannot allow that video to be the one that represents how I feel about this game. In that video, I made a lot of references to my older reviews, and I threw my best friend under the bus. 2019 John, what the fuck were you thinking? But other than that, the rest of the video was just repeating everything Jack said. The part where I compared the tracks to that of CTR, the problem counter, the structure of the review itself, and even this inexcusable act of copying Jack's dead joke about making a brilliant game. That whole video was nothing but cringe. And please allow me to say this, but it was Jack's recent video on Twinsanity that made me want to go back to Nitro Kart to wrong those rights, and sweep the past under the rug. Twinsanity is another game I want to revisit, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. So with the new experience I've gained since that video, I just could not leave this stone unturned any longer, so let's return to this turbocharged extravaganza and give it the proper review that it deserves. As many of you already know, Nitro Kart was released in 2003 and developed by Vicarious Visions, who are known nowadays for developing the Crash and Tony Hawk remakes. To be honest, I wasn't necessarily dreading coming back to this game, given I never really thought the game was as bad as people made it out to be. The only reason why it received such criticism, in my opinion, is because of the game it sets itself up to be a successor for. As a result of all of its quirks, what was supposed to be a solid sequel ended up feeling more like a bootleg copy. So let's get into why exactly that is. This game has a simple yet effective plot, with the bandicoots and bad guys being transported to a new galaxy by Emperor Velo the 27th. So we have our goal: race for the entertainment of millions or Earth will be destroyed. The objective is just like CTR. Win races to collect trophies and challenge the champion of each world. This time around, the game gives you a choice of 2 teams, with 3 playable characters each. This was a smart move if you ask me. Graphically, this game is one of the most beautiful in the series. I've said it in the past, but it is still impressive for a 2003 game. It's no Going Commando, but still. And as random as the boss characters are, I won't lie, I do like how unique all of their personalities are. The soundtrack is an interesting topic. While some people love it, a lot also hate the fucking thing. I tend to fall in the middle. While it's not the greatest, it's still pretty good, and I'll even argue it's memorable. Shit, the fucking theme song is a certified banger. I love it. Of course, however, all racing games live or die by the control. Here is where the positives for this game end. I'm not gonna try and sugarcoat this. While the control isn't the worst I've played, it does not hold a candle to CTR, and that is a major problem. Compared to that game, CNK feels extremely clunky, especially when you enter an anti-gravity section. These are the most jagged parts of the game. It's no wonder Nintendo waited 11 years. Intriguing, yes, but very flawed. The core mechanics are so flawed, my Christ. Constantly, I catch moments where the game is having a fucking seizure and has no idea what to do. This might be a PS2 problem, as I don't seem to have these problems on Xbox or GameCube, but still, shit like this should not be happening. You can get yourself stuck inside objects. And remember the boss characters? Well, you can't play as any of them. In CTR, this was possible, so there's no excuses here. Speaking of the bosses, again, Velo's race is probably one of the most difficult things about this game, combined with the janky controls. If you don't know how to utilize the boost mechanic in this game, or rather lack thereof, you are not winning this race. As hard as it may be to believe for a lot of people, This game's boost mechanic does have a reserve system, but it is nowhere near as game-breaking as CTR. As a result, holy shit guys, this game feels like an absolute drag in comparison. It doesn't help that the PS2 version takes about 15 to 20 seconds to load. It may not sound like a lot, but when the game needs to load as often as it does, they all add up. There's a loading screen for the adventure hub, one for the track, one for the podium, and then another one for the hub. That's over a minute of loading, which is just unacceptable.
To be honest though, despite everything we've covered in this video, I still find myself revisiting this every so often. Many will question why, but there's just something about it that gets me to come back to it. After all, average games always fall under the cliche of playing the game for yourself and deciding then. Wait, average? Oh man!
Yeah, this game is average. That is just unacceptable for a kart racer. For starters, the amount of times you see callbacks to CTR tracks is too often for my liking. Inferno Island, Tiny Temple, Clockwork Wumpa, they all copy different assets from that game. Shit, the 90-degree turns in Assembly Lane are just the ones from Engine Labs, inverted to make it look different. Reminds me of the last time I reviewed this game. Apparently there was going to be an option to play some CTR tracks that were rebuilt from the ground up. But it seems to me that Vicarious Visions looked at what they already had and said, nah, that would have been redundant. Also, there is a huge lack of content here compared to CTR. CTR has a total of 18 tracks and 7 battle arenas, whereas Nitro Kart has 13 tracks and 5 battle arenas. Remember, CTR was released in 1999, and CNK was released in 2003. CTR, by default, has more content to offer on an older system, so there are simply no excuses here. In fact, now that I think about it, the track count could have been nearly doubled if Team Cortex went to 4 completely different worlds. Think about it, right? In both teams' opening cutscenes, Velo says they race across 4 worlds of his choosing. So why does he send Cortex and his cronies to the same 4 worlds as the Bandicoots? It would have been so unique to see 4 new worlds in this game, giving us 12 more tracks, bringing the total up to 25. And imagine the new personalities those world championships would have. Maybe Big Norm goes on to claim a world championship of his own, and we race him. Team Cortex could be the hard mode of the game, where the track designs really test your skills, and the AI is a lot more aggressive, meaning you and your teammate won't be blowing everybody else out of the fucking water. Cortex's adventure mode could encourage you to get better at the game, and therefore make the victory against Velo that much more satisfying. Dude, I just made this an instant fucking classic. See what I mean here? So much potential left with no substance whatsoever. One last thing I would like to mention, and this is very minor, but it still bums me out. This is also apparent in CTR. The extra 4th members of each team do not show up in any race after unlocking them. That's incredibly disappointing. This often makes me forget that Pura is even in the game, and the same goes for Fake Crash and Entropy. It would have been really nice to see them in the races, seeing that hard work pay off. But, like I said, it's a little gripe.
If you were to judge this game as its own kart racer, it honestly isn't that bad. However, as a follow-up to one of the greatest, if not the greatest kart racer of all time, this is a sad younger brother that failed to receive the love and attention it was so desperate for. And even now, we live in a timeline where there is literally no incentive towards revisiting Nitro Kart when the nitro-fueled remake of CTR exists. That game has every character, track, battle arena, and kart from CNK, and the controls are far superior. Honestly, all that game needed was the adventure mode, and Nitro Kart would have been left in the rear view mirror much faster than it was.
And for that reason, Crash Nitro Kart was just completely forgotten. So forgotten, in fact, that when Big Velo came back in the final CTR NF Grand Prix, they didn't even know how to fucking pronounce his name. Man, that really sucks. With all of this said, hopefully it's clear why Crash Nitro Kart will never be able to escape that 5 out of 10 purgatory. Now, let's take a look at the GBA port of this game, as it has received some praise. This game removes all of those stupid quirks that plagued the console version. Team races and anti-gravity have been scrapped in favor of providing solid controls and pleasing visuals. By the Game Boy Advance's standards, anyway. The models have been ported from the consoles, and they actually look really nice. The tracks have been altered slightly, but they're still pretty good. Some of them are even played in reverse. However, this results in some tracks, like Out of Time, being a bit difficult to navigate, but these hiccups are far and few between. This lineup of characters is much better too. Instead of Zem and Zam, we get the privilege of playing as the boss characters after we beat them. I love how you unlock Fake Crash in this game. Instead of getting 50 consecutive boosts as Team Cortex in Adventure Mode, you instead drive out of bounds and find him on the outskirts of Out of Time. That is so fucking cool, and I feel like other racing games should try this. Plus, Spyro makes a cameo in this game. Fucking awesome. Now here is my favorite thing in this game. This is the final track. It's different from Hyper Spaceway. This track combines different parts of Tiny Temple, Barren Ruins, Out of Time, and Electron Avenue to create a pretty fucking epic track. The cheats you can unlock add another element of fun to the overall experience.
This is one of those very rare occasions where the GBA port is actually better than its console counterparts. There aren't that many games that can say that, so while it is impressive, that means that you should be ashamed of yourself.
Nitro Kart on GBA is a very fun time, and it even has a secret minigame called Crash Party, which you can access if you hold down both triggers while the game is booting up. Yeah, this isn't the greatest thing in the world, but it's still neat. I can confidently say that Crash Nitro Kart on the Game Boy Advance gets 5 out of 10. And remember, a GBA game getting a 5 out of 10 score means it is worth your time, unlike a 5 out of 10 on console.
And so we've gone through Nitro Kart again and given it the proper review that it deserves. And we included the GBA ports, which was a game I actually wanted to cover at some point. So I figured now was as good a time as any. But we are not done with our journey through Cash Panuka revisits yet. We still have some unfinished business to take care of, but until then, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit that like button to leave a like, and be sure to share the video around with your friends. Thank you for watching, and my name is JuniorNitro, fueling your adrenaline, one video at a time.